Hey, good afternoon. This is Bentley. I'm going to go over our individual assignment working with text file, TXT files, creating a little database in PHP, and kind of showing that you can read and write data into text files and then put them on a table. Pretty pretty self-explanatory. It's not super hard. I'm going to go ahead and just get started. I'm going to add a couple of inputs. Um, Now, the phone number portion here, I did it in HTML and PHP. So it's gonna, it will require you before you can do it to match the requested response. But I did make sure to do it in the HTML side and the PHP side. It's just a little bit of extra security that whoever's entering data puts in the right information. So, and then we'll just go. Also, email address is also oriented the same way, where it's um, formatted or made sure that it's right in the HTML and PHP side. So you really can't get it wrong both ways there, but I do have an extra level to make sure that that's right. Um, so we have this added. We can return back to the form, and then we'll add another one. Um, hmm. Um, we'll just go Billy. Uh, Morgan, Morgan Billy, and let's add one more. Um, so now we got a little bit of little data in here, and so we can see that data is writes in, and is that good to go? Um, let's see. Let's pull this up. So you can see it's written into here, but I'll get to that in a minute. So I have an HTML uh, title, a little header. Let's see. I've created a form that links to the update.php post method because what we've been using to um, uh, use as our way to pull the information from the form to PHP. Uh, have different I have different types and labels. So first name, last name, phone number, and email. And like I mentioned, I did text for first name and last name, but for phone, you have a type tel, which is part of HTML's forms where they automatically um, you can automatically orient it to a phone number. So it has 0 through 9 with 3 digits, 0 through 9 with 3 digits, 0 through 9 with 4 digits, and we'll see something similar to that actually inside of PHP as well. And then email also has its own type. Uh, I just put that, but um, this will make sure that you have to have it in this kind of orientation here. And then I have a submit and reset button, and that's the end of the HTML side. Um, Found that you can set the style here, and I went ahead and put some of the styling table header, table data, and just to give it a little bit more color and we'll make it a little bit easier to read. Found some pretty good stuff online about orienting tables. Also, we've encapsulated this inside of HTML syntax. It's good to do. So we have a new variable file name, userinfo.txt, that we're going to use to modify, or I guess we've already modified it since we already put in the data, but we'll end up going through the process on how we're going to actually get that data into that TXT file name. So we have this post method here, which pulls from the form on the other one. And trim just removes any of the in spaces like on the ends of the string or whatever. It just is more so just to ensure that it's accurate. Um, Best way that I figured how to do this was I just wrote a bunch of functions to check the errors on it on the the first last all the value points or all the not value points, the form inputs. So we have one that's going to check if it's empty. If it's empty, it's going to throw the exception. It's pretty self-explanatory. Um, and it's also going to have two parameters, value and then the actual field name. So you'll throw in the value and then your field name could be if you're checking the first name or last name in the file, the value would be the actual file itself, and then you would check the actual form itself. See, so you can do the strings length first. So whenever that uh, whenever we put in for our first name, it'll check that first name to make sure that it's not greater than 20 characters, and if it is, must be same with the last name. And this is what I was referring to earlier. Um, we have 3 digits with a dash, 3 digits. It's called string literal, and then it will return or it'll it will make sure that that syntax is accurate to this 3 digits dash 3 digits dash 4 digits. And if not, the errors thrown must be 12 digits. But like I said, I also have it on the HTML side. So, I mean, this is more just to make sure. Also, the filter validate email is actually a written in PHP, or not written in, I guess more like it's a built-in function that PHP has to make sure that the that your email is in an accurate format. And there's a bunch of source code on GitHub about that I read, but um, and we also have also created another function to actually write the data. So this is going to open the file, or it's going to create a variable called fopen, which is opening a file name. And then A is append. It's going to add that data and append it to it. And if the there is no file, then it cannot open the file for writing. And what it's going to do is it's going to write the data into the file, and this PHP EOL is basically it's kind of like the dash in when you drop to the new line. Then it's this is going to close the actual file itself that we written into. It's pretty easy. Just making functions. Figured that would be the best way to go about this project. I ran an empty check on each one of those. I did this one differently um, because I wanted to be able to check for um, each one individually with their own uh, field name. And then this one, it'll check for this one. I just did it straight through with all four parameters there. But you get the same results doing that. This is actually going to be the orientation here on how we write that data into, or how we write it um, into the user data. So we'll have last name separated by a colon for each one of those, and then this is actually going to call back to the right function data. So we don't have to do none of that coding there. We already had it written. Then this is our message was written in. Uh, and then if not, we'll throw an exception and it will return us to the form, which I already have a return here too. Return to form there too that I wrote in. So if the file exists, which will does, we're going to open the file and we're going to go into file reading mode and we're going to create a table and we're going to have a table row with table headers of first, last, phone, email, and then we're going to fgets puts the um, data in, and then this is our delimiter here where we're actually separating between each variable point with the so we'll have like last name, then first name, uh, phone number, email, and let's see. It's pretty simple. This just iterates through and adds it for each time that we have new data coming in, it'll iterate through. So every time we add a new one, it'll drop it down a row, start a new one, keep going. And that closes it, prints the table, and then turn form. And if there was nothing found, then no data, no data found. Closing PHP, then closing HTML. So it's not a super hard project this time around. It was pretty easy. I enjoyed it. So yeah. All right. Thank you.